Boom. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Hold on, let me see if my mic's working. Okay, it looks like it is this time because yesterday my OBS decided to reset all my shit, so I had to reconnect a bunch of microphones and shit. But welcome to another live beer review. Today we are going to be taking a look at a brewery that's pretty local to me. I would say they have two locations within the Chicagoland area, and they decided to come out with like kind of a wheat ale that reminds you of summer, but they decided to release it in the winter just because it's like everybody that lives in the Midwest kind of hates winter over here just because it's cold and just shitty a lot of the time. So they decided to come out with a wheat ale that kind of can bring back a little bit of some of those sunny vibes, a little bit like some of those summer outdoors, sitting in beer gardens, all that kind of stuff. Because today we're looking at the Summerly Raspberry Wheat Ale from Pollyanna Brewing Company. And yeah, Pollyanna that has a lot of good stuff when it comes to what they have available. They've won a bunch of different awards when it comes to like the Great American Beer Fest, and they're just probably one of my favorites when it comes to local breweries within the state. I would definitely put them on the list for breweries to check out if you're in the northwest suburbs or anywhere within like northern Illinois, just because the variety they have is great. They have a lot of barrel-aged stuff. They play around with so many different varieties of beer, and a lot of them are absolutely delicious. So today we're going to be looking at this wheat ale, of course, with raspberry, which is really nice. It's a 4.8% ABV, so of course this is going to be pretty sessionable. This is like the perfect beer where it's like if you're outside and during the summer, you can have a few of these, possibly playing bags or something like that, hanging out at a beer garden, enjoying time with your friends, and this is the perfect beer for it, because even on the can it says pairs well with friends, which I can appreciate. So yeah, I'm expecting a wheat ale, of course. With it being a wheat ale, the wheat flavors are going to be very, very predominant in this. But then I'm hoping that the raspberry flavor is very predominant as well, because you won't promote a beer having raspberry in it without being predominantly raspberry in it. So I'm expecting maybe a slight tartness from those natural raspberry flavors in there, but I'm expecting a nice, crisp, clean, refreshing, and just hopefully bringing back like a feeling of warm weather along with just enjoying a good beer. So without further ado, let's crack this guy open and see what we get on the smell. Let's see. Oh yeah, definitely the raspberries coming through pretty well, which is definitely a good thing. Yep, smells like a wheat beer. Nothing really crazy when it comes to complexity, I don't think is going to happen with this one. Of course, they used multiple different kinds of wheat, which is going to be an interesting thing, kind of bringing in different flavors depending on which wheat they used. Of course, two-row malt was always used because that's a very, very common and really used a lot when it comes to making lighter beers. So without further ado, let's pour this. I'm going to be drinking out of my Beer Marmy pint glass this afternoon. Let's see how this pours. Maybe it might have a little bit of like a reddish tone to it. I'm thinking it's going to be pretty clear, along with just kind of having just like maybe like a golden reddish, almost like a pinkish color. Who knows? So let's see how it pours. Yeah, it has a slight pinkish color to it. Almost kind of looks like a kind of reddish brown almost, but I wouldn't say it's crystal clear. It kind of has, I would say it's more murky than anything. But yeah, this looks absolutely delicious if I say so myself. Look at it, that's that nice kind of almost darkish brownish red kind of color to it. Slight head. Definitely getting a lot of that raspberry coming through, which I'm a big fan of raspberry when it comes to my beers. So when I have something with raspberries, I'm always pretty excited, just because raspberries, I would say, one of my favorite berries of all time. So without further ado, let's give this guy a try. So cheers, everybody. Happy Thursday. Oh yeah, clean, crisp, refreshing. It's a light beer, but the raspberry flavor is there, still just enough there to realize that it's a predominant flavor, which I can always appreciate. Of course, those wheat flavors that you normally get out of your normal kind of wheat beer is coming through really nice. It balances really well. The slight sweetness you get in there with the raspberries, along with kind of like the slight sweetness you get from the two-row and all that stuff in there, I think is really, really nice. I wouldn't say there's any bitterness to it, even though they say it's like 13 IBUs, so they probably added the hops during the boil, most likely, just to kind of, because when it comes to adding the hops during the whirlpool, that's just only in there for flavor. It's not going to really add a bitterness / IBU rating to it. So yeah, I think it's a super solid, easy drinking beer, which I can always appreciate. So, and since it's Thursday, it's perfect occasion for it. So let's look here on Untappd and see, since I don't think Pollyanna really distributes out of the state that much. I think they're mostly available only in like Illinois, maybe going up to like Iowa, maybe Indiana, maybe some places in Wisconsin. But yeah, this Untapped does a really cool thing where it actually shows kind of similar beers to this one without kind of giving the exact flavor profile and stuff. So let's see what Untapped shows for similar beers here. They actually have 3 beers from one brewery here, which is interesting. And so let's see. We got 3 of them are from the brewery called The Answer, which I believe they're out of Virginia. So one, we got the Frozen Peach Strawberry, which is like a fruit beer from them. They're definitely more in that kind of smoothie realm, which I don't know if I'd really consider this anything close to that. Let's see, we got one from Wonderland Brewery called Chadudia number 1, which is, okay, it's definitely in a different language, but that's a fruit beer as well. Then we got one from Tired Hands called Orange Juice. And then we got another one from The Answer called Quad Mother of Merino, which is a mango marshmallow fruit beer. And then we got one called the Bronberry Triple Puffsicle, which is like more of like kind of your smoothie style fruit beer with boysenberry, loganberry, blackberry, and blueberry. So I wouldn't consider any of these like a wheat beer, but just imagine your token kind of wheat ale kind of situation. And when it's like they add pretty much really, really nice kind of refreshing tart raspberry kind of flavor in there, it's pretty much what you're going to get with this. But when it comes to similar beers, most likely I would probably do the Bronberry Triple Puffsicle from The Answer, just because it's not going to be the same mouthfeel or anything. It's definitely not going to be as effervescent as this one is. But when it comes to getting that berry flavor and maybe getting that slight tartness, that's pretty much the only thing on this list that I would consider similar to this. But it's not going to really be the same drinking experience, just because that's going to probably have a higher gravity and all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to similar beers, yeah, that Brownberry Triple Puffsicle will probably be the closest one to what's shown on here. I probably can suggest other little wheat beers that could probably give the same situation. Of course, wheat ales are definitely more of the common stuff you would see at like your everyday liquor store, where they don't really experiment with bringing in craft beer. Wheat ales are pretty common, and if a liquor store wants to have lighter stuff for people to drink, wheat ales are usually on that kind of list. So you may be able to find different styles of wheat ale, but if you're looking for like a nice berry infused one, the Summerly I think is probably up there with some of the better like fruited wheat ales that I've had. Yeah, it's delicious, absolutely delicious. So let's see, and definitely getting that tartness coming through, which is nice. Of course, the raspberry flavor is really, really good in here, and I was hoping that the tartness from the raspberries would come through, and it is, so that's really, really good. So let's look here on Untapped and see what the actual description of this guy is. So a beer with hundreds of pounds of fresh raspberries can only be considered the perfect beer for summer, right? Right, beckoning for friends, beer garden, sunshine. Summerly will aid in the process of forgetting winter, because winter is the absolute worst thing ever. Brewed with the 3 different kinds of wheat and 2-row malt from a good old US of A, this wheat ale will refresh and even the thirstiest of palates. Yeah, I completely agree. So having 3 different kinds of wheat in there, of course having 2-row for your kind of base is always a really good thing. And then just bringing all those raspberries, the hundreds of pounds that you used, I think it worked really, really well. The raspberry flavor is still very, very predominant, which is very good. Of course, it doesn't seem like watered down or any kind of way where sometimes those lower ABV kind of fruited beers seem to be like watered down, in my opinion. I know I've had a couple from, I think, like Wiley Roots and all that kind of stuff, and well, it works to where like they have some of their fruited sours that are fruited, but it just kind of doesn't really work out that well for me personally, just because it seems like they're kind of muted a little bit, because it's like a watered down kind of muted berry like fruit flavor that you would get out of those. But this one doesn't do that at all, and it just, everything's really well balanced. So let's look here and see what some of these people put for ratings and all that stuff. Oh, actually, before we do that, like I said before, it's a 4.8% ABV, so yeah, this is something I would easily consider sessionable. You can have 2 or 3 of these and just enjoy the rest of your day. 13 IBUs, and with over 8,646 ratings, this was an average rating of 3.69 out of 5, which isn't bad. For a wheat ale, I wouldn't consider seeing a lot of ratings above like a 4, maybe having that kind of stuff. I only see between like that 3.6 or 3.5 average rating for these, but just because it's more of a simplistic kind of beer and there's not really much complexity to it. So That's kind of why I think ratings for this kind of style of beer are usually lower than usual. But overall, this beer is delicious. It's fantastic. I really love the raspberry flavors in this for sure. Is there anything left in the can? I don't think so. Nope. So let's look here and see what people rated this one. But for first, I like looking at see who on my friends list checked this one in. So my father checked this one in, gave it a 3.75. Of course, he purchased this for us at Sal's Beverage World, which is in Elmhurst, Illinois. If you're ever interested, let's see. My uncle checked this one in, and my cousin. So my dad gave it a 3.75, and my cousin gave it a 4 out of 5. So let's look at the global rating and see what we're looking at here. So this person gave it a 4.25 out of 5, purchased at Pollyanna Brewing Company in their location in St. Charles. So it looks like you can get this over at their St. Charles location right now. I checked it more than once. Okay, so let's see. They probably had more than one. And this person gave it another 4.25. Let's see. This person gave it a 4 out of 5. Let's see. 3.25. 3.25. 4.5. 4. This guy purchased at Pollyanna and Lamont. Let's see. Another 4 out of 5 purchased at the Beer on the Wall, which is a pretty popular location when it comes to... So, Park Ridge, Illinois, there's a road that goes through it called Toohey Avenue, and Toohey Avenue is a dry road. It just sucks. No liquor stores, no nothing. Well, Beer on the Wall in Park Ridge is actually right off of Toohey Avenue, to where they're able to sell liquor and be a craft beer bottle shop. So this person purchased it there, gave it a 4 out of 5. Let's see here. We got another 3.5. We got a 3, 3.25. Let's see here. We got a full 5 out of 5. This person said, Day 9, beer number 2, Summerly is always great. Yeah, this is definitely a good one. So, yeah, I would say the ratings are a little bit all over the place. You're seeing stuff all the way down to 3. You're seeing all the way stuff to a 5 out of 5. So it's in that kind of realm of being all over the place, which I'm perfectly fine with. But let's start figuring out what we're going to be doing for ratings on this guy and start wrapping this up. Can art. Yeah, their can art's usually pretty simplistic. I don't really see Pollyanna going into a lot of detail when it comes to their can art. But there's some little things in this that I do enjoy. Of course, you got Pollyanna's label when it comes to their logo. Of course, it's really clean. And then they kind of did that splatter of like a raspberry hitting a wall kind of situation. You see all the juices running down, which I think is a really cool touch. But there's a lot of empty real estate, if you haven't noticed. Of course, they kind of put the description right there. Sorry, it's whitewashed out, but for me, it's very simplistic. They didn't really take up a lot of the real estate they could. I wouldn't expect them to kind of do stuff just because that's not normally what they do. But when it comes to this can art, yeah, the splatter really helps. It makes it appealing. The Summerly thing, when you would see it be available during the winter and say Summerly in like a liquor store or a bottle shop would catch your attention for sure. I really like the twist they did when coming out with a summer style wheat ale during the winter. I think it's a really, really nice touch just to kind of give people's spirits up a little bit when it comes to shitty cold weather that the Midwest / Chicagoland area gets during the winter. So, can art, I give it like a 3.25 out of 5, to be honest. Not really anything extraordinary, but there's definitely stuff on this that I would notice when it comes to if I saw it at a liquor store or bottle shop. So, let's see, what else? If I got this beer in a flight at Pollyanna, would I get another one? To be honest, I probably would. Yeah, it's definitely one of the better wheat ales that I think I've ever had. I really enjoy the raspberry flavor out of it. If you're a fan of raspberry, I think you will enjoy this beer. You're definitely going to get some of those like similar wheat ale kind of notes that you're normally used to drinking when it comes to maybe like drinking like a Blue Moon or something like that, where it's kind of like wheat forward kind of situations. But overly, the raspberry flavor is still there enough to where it makes it really, really enjoyable. Definitely having that strong raspberry flavor, bringing that slight tartness into a wheat ale, I think kind of makes it better than your average wheat ale, which is really, really nice. So, yeah, this would probably be one I'd have a 4-pack of, just to have like a nice, easy drinking beer throughout the day if I'm doing some work inside, like doing something where I just want a nice, like kind of like crisp, refreshing beer at the end of it. This is definitely one I would kind of turn to, and it works out perfectly. Got a little bit of sediment on the bottom, but that's okay. So, let's see. What is my final rating for this guy going to be? I'm going to give this a very, very solid 7.75 out of 10. I really, really enjoy it. It's not to that point to where it's an 8. Maybe I would have enjoyed it more if it was like maybe a little bit higher at ABV. Having that like 5-6% wheat ale I think would be a nice touch, because like the higher percentage that usually goes up means like the more those kind of fruit flavors are able to kind of enhance a little bit. So having a little bit of stronger raspberry flavor I think would have been a better note, but for what it is, for being a 4.8% and kind of still having that strong raspberry flavor in there, I think they did a hell of a job with this one. Absolutely hell of a job with this. So if you're in the Chicagoland area and you can get your hands on this Summerly raspberry wheat ale, I think you would probably enjoy it. I would definitely suggest picking this up if you're just looking for like a nice, easy drinking beer throughout the day. And this is definitely hitting all those marks for something that's just delicious, enjoyable, refreshing, crisp, a little bit tart. So it hits all the marks that I'm looking for just a nice, easy drinking beer. So yeah, Pollyanna did an absolutely fantastic job with this. But other than that, I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. So thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are awesome. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. It would help me out a lot. And if you're new to the channel and like what you see, make sure that subscribe button along with that notification bell. It'll let you know whenever I go live to another review. I got reviews planned for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day for you guys. Don't worry, just because it's the holiday doesn't mean I'm going to be leaving you guys high and dry for drinking some beers and just having a good time. So who knows, the viewership might be a little bit down just because people are spending time with family, but that's okay. I'll have the content up for you guys if you have a long moment where you just want to sit back and watch a beer review maybe while you're having a beer, hopefully. So the next few days I'll be having reviews for you guys. But other than that, if you're looking for a nice social media platform when it comes to craft beer drinking, I can always recommend getting yourself on Untapped. It's a great platform. You could check in beers, get badges, all that kind of stuff. It's just a really, really cool platform. It's available on Android, iPhone, or if you're even sitting around a computer all day. You can even use it on your desktop too. They have a website you can use through the browser that's pretty easily accessible, as well as how easily accessible the apps are to use. They have a great kind of group of people running that app. They have a store to where they can get glassware, merch, all that kind of stuff. Plus, they do a lot of promotions when it comes to different kind of craft beer services that are available throughout the country that they promote, give discount codes for it, all that kind of stuff. So it's just a great platform. If you haven't been on Untapped yet, do yourself a favor. If you're a craft beer lover, create an account, get a login. Link to my profile is down in the description below. You can see people like me, Ian, Wintucky, Dutch is on there, Logan's on there, Lee's on there, Kevin K is on there. There's a bunch of us on Untapped just checking in beers and having a good time. So I would 100% recommend getting yourself over there if you're a craft beer drinker. It's just a really, really fun time. Seeing what's local in your area, see what's popular in your area. So there's so many beneficial things that the app provides, so I can't promote it enough. But other than that, I think that is pretty much what I have for you guys today, ladies and gentlemen. So again, thank you everybody for hanging out. You guys are awesome. And I think we're going to end this with our normal Throwdown Thursday kind of situation thing. You guys know how we do things over here on Thursdays when it comes to reviewing a beer. So I'm going to say this before we get the hot here. If you're going to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And since it's Thursday, let's do this, people. Hope I will see you all next time. Cheers. See ya.